On your radio now, it's Entrepreneur's Edge with Jerry Mitchell, bringing you the information and insights designed to give you the edge you need. Jerry, take it away, sir.
Good afternoon and welcome to Entrepreneur's Edge. I'm Jerry Mitchell, host of the show. And EE listeners, we got a great program for you today. I'm very excited to have as our special guest Mr. Jarrod Sims, who's president of Syms Contractors, a legacy business originally started by his father, Jimmy Sims, in the 1900s when his father purchased a service master franchise. So Jarrod, you've listened to the show before. You know, we always have a musical theme for every guest that comes on. For you,
what is it?
Being a Birmingham native, we had to go old school. We had to go back to the 1970s and pull out the controllers.
Okay.
And go where somebody's got to win. And with lyrics that say somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and then they jump on down and say somebody's got to almost die. So I know you guys are not dead. You've been doing this for more than 30 years. So obviously, Jarrod, you've been winning. You've been winning because you got the longevity. So how does that grab you, sir?
Well, it does. I mean, I think there's some truth there, but you know, of course, you're gonna take some losses in 30 years too. I mean, we've had some great opportunities afforded us, but again, like I said, there are going to be some times in which we were a little lean, but we were able to, you know, to navigate it, and we're still here.
Well, the song does say sometimes you gotta cry.
Yeah, that's true. That's part of it too. That's a part of it too. I can recall a lot of that as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's jump into it. So tell us about how your father started the business in the 1990s. What made him start the business?
So just a little bit of background on my dad. I mean, he was an entrepreneur at heart. Now, he was a retired teacher, taught at Gardendale High School for better than 30 years. Mm-hmm. But at heart, he was an entrepreneur. So, of course, I saw this as a young kid that, you know, he had that kind of thing going on with him. I mean, he used to have a nightclub on Tallapoosa, right when you get off the Tallapoosa exit here in Birmingham, and it used to sit right over there where the Pilot is now. Mm-hmm. But it was called Teach Lounge. And so that was my first introduction to him with that entrepreneurial spirit. As time went on, still watching, he got his real estate license. But I've always known him to just have that kind of a spirit, you know, of wanting to be in business. And so that's kind of where I, you know, began to see, you know, his evolution and my understanding of probably where I'd like to do, you know. And so if you remember when we were younger, I may be a little older than you, but when we were younger, we saw Sanford and Son, and that was a business model. Now, most people didn't appreciate it. They thought it was more jokey joke than what it really should have represented, which was, you know, a family business. Mm-hmm. And so that, again, I want to believe is kind of where my perspective starts. But he retired in 90. Retired in 90 after teaching for 30 years. And I was living in California at the time. But before I left, he owned several rental properties. I was a project manager before there was even a such thing. I mean, he gave me the money to go to the various supply houses with the contractors, and I paid the bills, and you know how that works. But at any rate, I've always wanted to be in business with my father. I mean, that was something that he and I both wanted. I was living in California at the time and just had gotten out of the Navy. And it was just that lifelong dream that we both had. So subsequently here in 91, I moved back to Birmingham, and he was, afforded an opportunity to get some resources, and we looked at several things, and he finally decided to go with the Service Master franchise. So he actually bought a Service Master franchise in 1992, and it was an on-location franchise, meaning we did fire and water restoration for a number of the insurance carriers around the world. Actually, I mean, we've done projects as far as Tennessee, but primarily it's an on location, and you don't do what they call janitorial services. You do heavy industrial cleaning, and
Right.
so that's kind of where we started, and that's where we got our start. I mean, we've had several offices on First Avenue North with our start, but that was kind of where we started with the Service Master franchise, and it was great learning experience. Got an opportunity to, as they say, to look under the hood, to know exactly the opportunities that were missing, and some of the information that was missing with respects to that kind of work. And so we did well with that.
Yeah, well, we know that people have lots of home disasters and
Yes.
and in businesses. I was just talking to someone, a good friend of mine down in Mobile, who was telling me about coming home and finding her floor flooded with water.
Absolutely.
And all kind of stuff like that. Yeah.
So that's exactly what Service Master was about. It was about restoring homes back to their original state. So they were stronger than ServPro. ServPro really wasn't around at the time. They were kind of emerging, but Service Master actually was the leader in this. Now you've got several companies out there now that are doing restoration efforts, but they pretty much had a pretty good handle on that. And so that was a great learning experience, great opportunity for us, and we were glad to be a part of it. But we also did heavy duty industrial cleaning. I remember when the Birmingham Housing Authority had a real bad sewage leak at one of the, basically it was at the main office. They were renting a space at the time. But those are the kinds of things that you would do under a heavy duty industrial cleaning franchise. I mean, it didn't have to necessarily just be fire and water. It could be spills or even crime scenes. So that's kind of where we got our start.
Yeah. So at what point did you say, you and your dad say, hey, we need to move over into construction? Because that's where the big money is at.
Well, yeah. So here's how I was working. The Service Master franchise afforded you the opportunity to, put the contents back, meaning clean the contents, sofas, and the things that are a part of the household goods for an owner. Well, what happened was the insurance companies, they're always looking for, a way to streamline. They started wanting to do a one-stop situation. Gotcha. So they'd want to call one place and get both content and dwelling taken care of. So that's how the emerging of it happened. I mean, but I did tell you my dad owned rental property, so it wasn't a jump or a stretch. Yeah, it wasn't really a stretch. So it was great that we were placed there. But that's what happened. The insurance companies wanted a one-stop situation. Make one call, and that call took care of both content and dwelling.
So you basically honed your skills in the construction arena on some of your own rental properties and whatnot.
Absolutely. That's where we got started. My dad, again, like I said, he had the entrepreneurial spirit. I can remember as a kid walking with him in East Birmingham when the freeway came to take houses over there. And as a little kid, you're hot, you're embarrassed, you're embarrassed, you handing out flyers, and at the time, I remember doing something that obviously was illegal. We were putting flyers in mailboxes. That's an illegal thing. Of course, we didn't know that. But at any rate, I can remember being a kid and being hot and just like, man, I'm ready to go home. But yeah, I mean, he had that entrepreneurial spirit. He owned a lot of rental properties. And again, like I said, as a kid, I was the one that was entrusted with the money to go to the various supply houses to pay for the stuff. So I've been around it a long, long time.
Yeah. Did you have now? And I don't know your family. Did you have other siblings that were engaged in the business?
Did well, no. Nobody. First of all, my dad actually raised me. I was raised by my dad and my grandmother.
Gotcha.
He does. Well, I do have other brothers and sisters, not with my mother, but he did have other kids. They weren't involved in the business at all. I guess because I was, in the same house as him is why I got onto it. But yeah, I mean, I've got other brothers and sisters though, but they're not in the business. They, I guess, didn't choose to do it. They had an opportunity, I would think, at some point, but they just decided, that wasn't what they wanted to do.
Yeah. So here's one thing I'm curious about, because when I looked you up, I tried to do a little advanced homework, and I know your name is spelled Sims.
Right.
And that wouldn't really come up. I kept getting this thing that says SYMS.
Absolutely.
So when I go to it and I get on the site and I see a picture of you, so I said, okay, what's going on? Why is the company name SYMS?
Mine is I. Yeah. So here's a story behind that. My dad did not want, I guess, to have that target or that recognition from the vantage point of having our name out there. So I never forget it. I was, afforded the opportunity, obviously, to name the business. And what happened was I went to Atlanta for some reason. I can't remember exactly why I was going there, and it was just kind of crazy. But
It wasn't Freaknik. It wasn't.
It wasn't Freaknik. No, it wasn't that. No, it wasn't. It wasn't doing that. It was a reason though. I can't remember what it was. But as I'm going down the expressway, I just happened to glance to the right, and I saw Syms Clothing, and I was like, okay, it's Syms, but it is the I is missing, so nobody would know that because again, like you said, everybody would associate Syms with us with an I, not a Y. Right. So again, I came back, told my dad, hey, or asked him, what do you think about spelling Syms with a Y? And he said, okay, I think that'll work. So that's really the story behind it. I was given that charge to name it, and kind of feel I never thought about it this way, but I kind of feel like you say, like a parent right there. I mean, to see something grow like that, where it became something. So yeah, I named it, and that store, by the way, at the time had been around better than 100 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they were pretty old.
And what type of store was it?
Clothing store.
Oh yeah.
You can Google it up. So they have since gone out of business, but they were better than 100 years old at some point. I can't remember when they went out of business, but that was another thing that was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe we'll do the 100 or something. But at any rate, that's the way the Syms came about, where the Y is a part of the company and the I is my name.
Yeah, well, I know just for myself, my dad had a business, and it was a landscaping and lawn business. So I would go with him when I was in high school. And man, I know it was hot out there during those summers over in Georgia, and all these bugs on me. And I was like, man, when I go to college, I ain't doing this no more. I won't be inside in the air conditioning where they wearing tie. So in your case, was the plan always for you to take over, or you just kind of fell into it, or was it?
No. I mean, again, this was a dream that we both shared, my father and I. We had a pretty, I don't want to say unique relationship, but it was such that we had that intent from go. He's always talked about business. He's always talked about wanting a business for the family. He always saw it that way. So no, this wasn't something that just happened. It was deliberate in that regard. I will say that I hadn't always been helpful in that process, but it was always deliberate on his part to have a business for the family. Yeah, that was deliberate.
So now, when did you officially take over as head of the company?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So just to kind of give you a little context, I was a lot younger then, obviously, than I am now. And I won't say that we may have had operational differences, if you would, or consideration. I'd come out of the Navy back in 90, in 90. And so my context was a little different than a teacher. A teacher, bring everybody along and that kind of thing. Well, we had some differences in that respect on how to manage or whatever. But anyway, with all that being said, I kind of took a leave, if you would, at his urgence to take a leave from the company, and did it actually a couple of times. Actually, he didn't waver. He didn't stop doing what he was doing, but took a leave. And I was doing some things successfully, actually, but I didn't really feel it. I wasn't happy, and more importantly, I didn't think he acknowledged it. And that was what was important to me is to have my dad acknowledge me, number one, and appreciate what I was doing. And when I think about it, it didn't really make any sense to do that because he had already afforded me the opportunity to be where I need to be in this process.
Right.
And so anyway, left a couple times, came back a couple times. Well, this last time that I came back in 2000, I came back in 2000, and he wanted to make sure that I was, where I needed to be. I never forget this. When I came back, it was one of those things where I got to prove that I'm back and that there's no, just in and out kind of thing. So
that you're serious.
I'm serious about it. Now this is
prodigal son.
Exactly. This right here is actually how this happened. I had some trucks at the time, but didn't have one at that particular time. And when I came back, some of the first projects we were doing were community development projects where we were renovating homes for elderly people and that kind of thing. And I never forget this. He had a black Chevrolet 2500 sitting in the yard. I remember when he bought it, and he wasn't driving it at the time. But when I came back, I was in a green LeSabre. I never forget this. And I was actually, hauling 2x4s in a car. And he watched me do that for a minute. And, I was kind of laughed at a little bit. And even I had one of the inspectors kind of say, hey, man, if you're going to do this, you got to be in a car. I mean, in the truck. And I already knew this, of course. But point being, he didn't make it easy.
Right.
I had to earn the consideration, the respect, and what have you. And
rightfully so.
Absolutely. I had already done this several times. So
that
right there sticks out in my mind that, hey, look, that had to happen that way. And I'm really appreciative of it. But it was tough. But anyway, as I, kept doing what I needed to do, there was never a question about my abilities or my commitment. But I needed to show that I had the understanding as relates to developing what we have. And so, like I said, eventually he told me, okay, you can get the truck out of the yard. So I got the truck out of the yard and I kept doing what I was doing. We were developing the business and bringing some other things to bear. And one day in 2003, out of the blue, he says, well, tell you what, I'm going to let you sit the first chair now. And it kind of threw me off because I didn't really know what he was saying, really.
Right.
I really didn't. I kind of threw me off. We were riding in the car, and he says, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let you sit the first chair, and we're going to see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And he used to tell me that all the time. When it's your turn, we're going to see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Everybody has all the answers when they ain't sitting the first chair. You know what I'm saying?
When they watch.
Yeah. When they, and everybody, when you ain't spending your money, you ain't responsible for nothing. You can always tell somebody else what to do with their resources and their money and what have you. But anyway, in 2003, I became the president of Syms Contractors, and I have been since then. We saw some definite growth, but I want to kind of circle back and say that he had the foresight back when that transition to do the one-stop thing with the insurance companies to move closer to the commercial construction industry. So back in '94 is when we actually got our general contracting license, our commercial license. And so he was always a forward thinker. And we know we owe a lot to him. We owe everything to him as it relates to where we find ourselves. So, yeah, so that's kind of it. I became the president in 2003 and have been since then.
So on that note, okay, you're in the big chair now. So what aspects of the business did you change and what did you keep the same?
So it's funny you say that. That is really crazy that you would say that because, everybody thinks that, when I become the, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this. And of course, I went through that whole litany of what I'm going to do and this, that, and the other. And I remember saying, that there was this one guy, and he may hear this, and I don't know if he will or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. I didn't like the fact that he didn't answer the call or the phone my dad called. That irritated me because I was kind of protective of my dad. But anyway, I didn't like that. So that was a thing that I knew. When I call you, you need to be answering the phone because hey, I'm calling you for something. Anyway, I never forget it. After like I said, he gave me the keys. I said, I'm gonna make some changes. I'm gonna do this and that. I said, the first thing I'm gonna change is the CPA. And he looked at me and like, now you do what you want to do, but I will leave that alone.
Yeah. And
I've learned when my dad says, now you can do what you want to do. I done said what I said, but you do what you want to do. I knew then that was probably something that I didn't do. So I would say, if I had to say something that, has been beneficial and was the greatest move that I made was listening to that particular advice. I did not make that change. And subsequently, he has been a part of our development and growth because you got to have a CPA that understands construction.
Right.
That's a whole nother thing. And so that's a part of your bonding efforts. That's a part of all of that stuff. So you got to have a person that understands that. And, of course, he doesn't answer the call when I call all the time now, but I'm good with it.
Man is busy. He's a CPA.
Yeah, exactly. He'll eventually get back, and if not, I'll do what my dad did. I'll just keep calling.
Right.
But that was the best. That was the best advice I think he gave me. So I didn't make that change. I knew that I couldn't just stop or rest on the laurels that he had put in place as far as the things that were in place. As far as designations, I knew that had to be developed. So we've added about 4 other designations to our commercial license that we didn't have prior to me taking the seat. But ultimately, we knew that we wanted to be exceptional in the industry. We knew what we were up against. We knew we had a point to prove. And I was, I was deliberate about that. I was, so in that regard, it was personal. Like I said, I loved my dad, very protective of him. I'm sure like most people are about their parents, but
Sure. Mm-hmm.
it was personal. And so the one thing I didn't change was that CPA. We may have made some other changes, but that one right there was the best thing. That was the best advice that he could have given me, because I could have really wrecked something right there.
Right. Yeah, you had somebody that understands the flow of the company, has been with you, seen you grow, and all that kind of stuff. Like that.
Exactly.
Understand. Well, hey, we're just glad you were smart enough to realize that if it ain't broke, you don't need to be trying to fix it.
Don't mess with it. Yeah, don't mess with it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna take a brief pause to recognize our sponsors, and we'll be back with more.
Hi, are you seeking a gateway to exceptional media services in photography and videography? Whether in Birmingham, Alabama, or beyond, they are here to tell your unique story. Call 205-222-2133 or go to their website at aboswellmedia.net. Calling all small business owners, get affordable legal protection at Legal Connections Group, LLC. It has nationwide coverage. Call Gloria Tisdale at 214-723-1559. Looking to outfit your office with a new look? Contact the experts at Cox Commercial Interiors and Design. Call today at 205-243-0972.
From networking to resources, from growth to legacy. The Alabama State Black Chamber of Commerce is here for entrepreneurs like you. Visit alblacccc.org, that's alblacccc.org, and let's build something legendary.
And we're back with Entrepreneurs Edge. Our special guest today is Mr. Jarrod Sims, President and CEO of Syms Contractors in Birmingham, Alabama. So, Jarrod, tell me, what does you're an entrepreneur. I know you dabble in a lot of other things. So what does a typical day look like for you on the job?
Well, how I determine, whether or not I'm where I need to be is, and when I know I'm kind of hitting on all cylinders, is wanting to wake up every day, finding solutions, finding, new opportunities, helping to develop. But at the end of the day, I think that's something that I got from my father. I mean, watching him, admiring him, it just became a part of who I am. So for me, I don't see anything other than that for me. I mean, I don't see, and I want everybody to consider something to that effect with respects to, business. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that's just who I am. I don't see me being anything other than an entrepreneur and, trying to, like I said, solve problems. My day, I want to get up every day, like I said, with solutions. And that's important to me is to get up every day to find solutions and other opportunities. And I like to see other folks to develop too. So that's kind of what, drives me.
Yeah. So speaking of that, seeing other folks develop, how do you manage your client relationships and your subcontractors?
Yeah, that's a pretty unique balance. I consider a general contractor as a head coach, general manager style type thing. Mm-hmm. Your job is to find the best talent and have them be a part of what it is that you're doing. They need to understand what the considerations are. They need to understand the importance of excellence. They need to understand that it is really us versus them. I mean, that's really how this works out here. So, that's first. As far as clients go, there are going to be some good ones. There are going to be some bad ones. We've been fortunate over the years that we've worked for everybody. I mean, you can name it. We've worked from Alabama Power to Birmingham Waterworks. I mean, all kind of federal agencies, city government, county government. We've done it. Some are better than others. Things have kind of changed. I can remember a time when an agency, I won't name them, they were like a great agency to work for. You got paid on time and that kind of thing. But I don't know what happened, but it seems as though that's kind of not happening like that. But when it comes to clients, you want to put yourself in a position where you can kind of, I won't say pick and choose, but at least be able to decide whether or not that's something you want to get involved in. Some situations are easier to work with than others. And so that's kind of the balance. You gotta be able to have good talent, exceptional talent. Doesn't always have to be, at the very, very top, but you got to be able to, make the marks. And that's always the first consideration. Our name means everything. And so, it's really more than money to us. I mean, yeah, I want to make money, but at the end of the day, the brand, and as I said, the name and my father's legacy, and hopefully one day mine, I just wanted to be about excellence.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of like, you listen to you say that, I think about Denzel Washington's new movie, The Highest to the Lowest. And in there, he's just talking about all these different things. And he says, all money ain't good money. Like
He's
that. So I know you have certain values that kind of drive you and your selection of your team and your projects as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, in your industry, things have changed. We've seen a lot of things going on, especially in the current climate.
Yeah.
So how has the general contracting landscape changed since the 1990s?
I've seen a couple of changes, if you would, or things that are always moving. It's almost like the target is always moving. So, as a Black general contractor here in the state of Alabama, I mean, there has always been the notion that we're not as worthy of these opportunities. I mean, I think they've kind of have decided that we don't count in this game they call publicly funded projects.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen it with some measure of consideration right after the civil rights era. Mayor Vann and Mayor Arrington put in place a 10% set aside. And so there was an opportunity for some development. And then you had the majority or general contractors here in the city to the AGC and some others to challenge that successfully, actually. So there's been a consistent battle to be a part of the industry. I think we've made some fair strides, not nearly what we need to, though, as a body of construction professionals, not near. We've lost a lot of ground in the labor, in trades. We've lost a lot of ground on that. I mean, the very trades that you see more of the Hispanic community involved in now, those were trades that we kind of dominated in, like concrete and brick masons. We dominated.
Yeah, it's hard to find brothers doing brick masonry anymore.
Yeah, we dominated. And so, so we've lost ground there. We already know what the climate is as it relates to Senate Bill 129, where they've kind of been deliberate about, getting rid of any diversity efforts or any inclusionary efforts where somebody is really considering, making sure that folks are a part of opportunities. So I've seen it there's always been a struggle. There's always been a fight. But ultimately, I think right now, where we are, I think we're poised to really make or exact the change that we're looking for. I think we've got to certainly raise the expectations in the community as to what they should understand about publicly funded projects, and then of course we've got to be able to address the labor shortages. We've got to be able to infuse our community into those trades, and so we've got our work cut out for us. But I guess, crazy enough to believe that we can get this done. And I really believe that. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing what I do. So I believe we can get it done.
Yeah, well, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of things, because I had a construction company tell me that now the path is, particularly if you're small or starting out, is not to focus on the public works projects, but to focus on these private development efforts and use those to kind of set you up to do more of the public work stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Can't say that, the guy is wrong or this individual is wrong, but I will say this. Private work has never been afforded to Black contractors.
Yeah.
It's just never been that way. And so we nor was public until, obviously the efforts to do that with the affirming programs and the other considerations that people have made to be deliberate about that. But for me, in my, I guess, tenure or understanding of where we find ourselves, this is probably one of the sure places that Black contractors can participate when it comes to publicly funded projects, because we need reciprocity. If we're helping fund this prosperity, then we need to be a part of it. So from that vantage point, I'd say about 85 to 90% of the work that we do is going to be publicly funded. And I think that's going to be the case for most Black GCs. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some guys that do, participate at some measure with it. I know several, but for me, my business model, to me, I just don't want to be a part of that because, I don't know. To me, I'm more of a structured type guy. You follow the specifications, you follow, what is expected, especially if you work for a number of the agencies and, governmental agencies, you kind of know what, and it doesn't really change. From a private perspective, things can happen, that are not good for you all the time. So there are going to be opportunities to do some things, but I like the public sector better for me, and I think that's a place that has afforded more Black contractors to develop than certainly the private. If that's changed, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah. Well, have you had the experience of which we've seen some of this, and even in Birmingham, where you, for lack of a better word, I'm gonna call it, you get sponsored, so to speak. So you kind of a large majority firm brings you in, and you're kind of like, as they go out and get projects, they kind of carry you along.
Under
the banner of helping you develop.
I've seen that kind of thing out there before. We've never really participated in it because we don't believe that that's a viable business model, really. That was kind of the thing that came out of, or a version of it that came out of the consent decree after the city was sued by these majority contractors in the AGC. They set up this thing, the BCAAC, and so I always equated it to the fox guarding the hen house. I don't see the benefit there. So, yeah, there are models out there like that. I don't think there's so much of that now, because if you've been told that you don't have to do anything and that it's a law that you don't have to do anything, I don't even think people are working from that vantage point.
Worried about that, yeah.
I don't think they're working. But more importantly, I still think it kind of, if we're going at something and we both have viability and we respect each other, and that's kind of where the joint venture is positioned, and that's different. But if you're telling me that you're gonna, I don't know, they've had these words where they did these mentors and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, mentor.
I've never seen any of that stuff work. Of course, you know how it works. I mean, as long as people are watching, it'll go for a bit. But over time, I have not seen anybody, develop from that. That's just me. Now, that doesn't mean it hadn't happened. It's just I'm not aware of any.
You're not aware of that. Yeah. So what are some other hurdles that small contractors face?
Well, ultimately, it's always going to be about bonding. If you don't have bonding capacity, then if you're in the commercial field, you're really not in business. For me, I've always wanted to position myself, because again, we've come from, as they say, from the bottom of this process. We were that young, contractor with no experience in the commercial field in '94 to, where we are now. So there's a whole development there, but I know what it's like to be a subcontractor, and that's not a place that I want to be. So for me, if we cannot be the general contractor, then we're not going to be a part of it. So bonding is critical. You've got to be able to continue to develop your bonding capacity. That's what keeps a lot of Black contractors at bay. It starts with credit, the first series of bonds that you get, your personal credit. And then as the process gets better with respect to experience and assets, then they focus more on that. But that's the first hurdle. So if I had to say that there's something that has been detrimental, if you would, to Black contractors, it's going to be bonding. It doesn't afford you the opportunity to scale if you don't have the capacity. It's like anything. It's like credit. They'll start you out with like $250,000.
Right.
You complete that project, and then you continue to go. But you got to be first able to get to 250. And again, that's going to be based on your personal credit. So
so I've heard that before, and that's not a new thing. So I mean, people have talked about it for years. So what's the solution?
Well, it's like anything else. When folks try to find solutions, then there's this other group when they figure out that there's somebody trying to help, and they come up with another rule. Yeah, the rule says that your bonding company has to be Treasury, blah 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 blah. And so that was the solution. I mean, there were opportunities that were afforded to Black contractors to scale and to develop. And once they seen that happening, that's when they came up with these new rules that the company that has to be a Treasury rated and yada, yada, yada. And so there have been solutions or people that are doing it. I mean, the bonds may be a tad more expensive, but it's what it is. I mean, these are more, I guess, investor type groups that have come together to do this, and so So there's been an effort to do that, but again, to me, even before that, you've got to be deliberate. So the first thing you need to do is get your personal credit straight. That's the first thing. If you get your personal credit straight, then you can almost navigate from there, because you've got to have a starting point. You can't walk into the, unless, your financials or something says this, you can't walk in and get a $2 million or $1 million bond. And anyway, it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything, when you borrow money or whatever, they don't just give you the bank at first. They give you a small thing, and you have to pay that back. And, and it's the same way with bonding. You finish the $250,000 project on time, no issues, close that out. Then you bid on a $500,000 project, get that bond, and you keep on going. So that's kind of how it works with that. But that's been a problem as far as how people scale their business. And you've got to be able to. And again, the other thing would be cash flow. I mean, you got to be able to have access to some capital that hadn't been afforded, really. It's getting a little better now in that there are other avenues to travel with some aggressive lenders out there, but that's always been an issue. But I think once you get those two things addressed, then you're going to be, in better shape.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what's your vision for Syms Contractors for the next 5 to 10 years? Where will you be?
What's happening now in the industry, you're going to have to be able to move. You're going to have to be able to navigate this thing. And so what's going on now is they're going to a construction model where you're doing CM and your construction. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to be able to, bring that to bear, which is what they call a design build. That's where we're going. And so I want to be able to, to develop that. I'd love to see my older son, kind of get himself in the right space to help do this, because like you said, in 5 years, I may want to do something totally different.
Right.
As long as he understands the importance of protecting the name, the brand, the license, then I'm good. And that was one of the things I remember my dad. He harped on protecting the license. Mm-hmm. The licenses are valuable. They're not giving those out down there, really. I mean, nowadays you got to come on with it to get a license. So protecting that, getting more solid when it comes to design build projects, mm-hmm. and that's really what we need to do in the next 5. And again, I'd like to maybe have developed or scaled to do larger projects, maybe a few, but we've got a little sweet spot, so I'm good with it. There's a whole lot of stress with this. The risks are there, but certainly the rewards are too. So you just have to balance it. But that's what I want to do in the next 5. Just continue to develop and be ready for this design build phase of where we are in the industry.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to the end of our talk here today. It's been very enlightening. I want to ask you to before we let you do a shout out for your business and let our listeners know how they can contact you.
Sure.
What advice would you give to somebody that is taking over a family business? That it's been around, and you got somebody's up and coming, and they're going to take over the business.
Yeah, I mean, I want you to first accept that you're in a very special position. And if in fact, if you're there because it was a part of the plan, or even if it wasn't a part of the plan, you're charged with, winning. You're charged with taking this to the next level. If you are a part of the next generation of owner, then you certainly can't do less than the previous president.
Right.
You got to do more. So take it seriously, be committed to your development, get strong and, very smart people around you, and, rely on some of the things that you learned from your parent or your father, your mother, or whoever. Rely on some of those things, reflect and bring those things to bear, and I think you'll be fine. But understand that it's your job to take it to the next level. That's your job, and you better take it seriously. Business in our community, in this society is vitally important, and you've been entrusted with something special. So don't play with it.
Right. Well, we appreciate that legacy. Where you picked up the torch. So at this time, I want to give you a chance to give a shout out to our listeners. Tell them the name of the company, how they can contact you, emails, phone, website, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, again, we are on the internet. We've got a Facebook page and a website. You can go to our website at SymsContractorsInc.com. That's SYMS Contractors Inc.com. You'll get a little bit more about our history, about our projects, about some things that we've done, and even some things that we're doing. We'd love for you to follow us on our Facebook page, which is also Syms Contractors. We're looking forward to just doing more stuff here in the state and being a part of the development. We've got some things that are coming up that we're really excited about, and hopefully we'll continue to make everybody proud. So that's kind of where we are with this, man. I appreciate you having me this morning. I know you're busy, but it's good that you thought of me today, and I'm glad we got an opportunity to tell people about what we do.
All right. Well, Jarrod, thank you so much for coming on the show. And listeners, please join us next week for information and insights from seasoned entrepreneurs like Jarrod Sims of Syms Contractors, and get the insights that you need to give you an edge.
You've been listening to Entrepreneur's Edge with Jarrod Mitchell, the program bringing you information and insights designed to give you the edge you need. We'll see you next week when the broadcast returns. God bless you.